very interesting these days. So I don't believe in upcoming peace. So I do believe we need to be prepared, and I think once again that both so-called institutions, if you want to call them, EU and NATO, should work together and they should be complementary. We don't need to, because I saw in different countries, also in Romania we had this discussion, but also in different countries that we need to be more European companies and so on, which is good. But I do believe that we need to work together, NATO and EU, because in the end, the result is the same. We need to have a safer alliance, a safer continent, and a safer environment for our societies.
Thank you. Before going further, but to detail a little bit, the aim of the question is that a non-aligned effort from NATO and EU risk to cause, in the end, a overlap on acquisitions, and secondly, the lack of expertise on procurement from EU side, which is, I think, it's also relevant, could also risk in non-adequate acquisition in terms of priorities. This is the aim of my question. Mr. DUșân, please.
I'm a little bit more optimistic about this issue because I can see in the last time that NATO plays a really active role setting up the operational requirements and also the military capability targets, which are the driver for the military modernization and also for the industrial development in Europe. The cooperation between NATO and EU, it's improving, and I was witnessing this improvement during the presence in the NATO Resilience Committee, and I'm sure also the other entities are talking each other very well. But what's impressive for me is the effort that the European Union is doing to put money into industry development, because you cannot be you cannot be resilient, and you cannot provide security without a powerful industry. You cannot provide the operational continuity, military operation continuity, if the industry is not able to provide ammunition and spare parts and maintenance and whatever is needed for the military operation. And we have so many instruments from the European side, like the program Rearm Europe 2030 with SAFE. We are talking about so many hundreds of billions of euros, and if we look at the next exercise, European competitive finance will be about 131 billion euro only for defense. This is the reason for that I'm confident that everybody will align to this effort, but there is also about depends on the member states to align with the policy, to align with the European strategy. Otherwise, we'll continue to see fragmentation and different kind of acquisitions, and instead of having a military capability, we will have only a lot of capabilities, but not the military capability that we need.
Thank you. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I can just view this from the prism as well, again, from a bit of cybersecurity as well, but implementer, or if the EU and NATO are stepping on each other's toes, if you will. And I think this has come up before, and I probably mirror that, or try to be optimistic, but maybe cautionary, is that I think the European Union will always be exactly that part that needs to be part of the industrial capacity, right? And that's important. At the same time, we sometimes expect the EU to do these things that it was never meant to do. I know it has to adapt, But as you said, NATO has experience in procurement. I don't think the point is to replace that, but nevertheless, if you have these different strategies at the same time, it's bound to get messy, right? This is, as you said, there's a lot of money involved. We have to do that scale. We have to do it faster. But then at the core, you have, I think, also, pardon me if I'm wrong, but the company that you've said, the UAVs, I mean, that's your first projects were with the United States, right? The U.S. military, right? So we have, interesting projects, and I think with NATO Diana it was similar. Some of those first companies of innovation that are sponsored, many of them come from the United States, right? It's just the market is different. So my sort of, let's say, maybe not fear is, but it could be that there's a lot of potential in scaling things out, but a lot of innovation, a lot of money that's going out there will aim to be competitive, but then they'll end up leaving Europe. We haven't even touched on AI, and you said, and you showed us all these different systems. And I was just reminded yesterday, even with that 0-day thing from Google, right? This was involved actually, they're not telling us which actual AI system it was, but that was also very much used offensively for the first time. And this is just the very first step in all these different things. But really quickly, to summarize, I think that in terms of building out the industrial capacity, we need that money, but then again, it shouldn't be free money. And we still have to appeal to the free market. But the NATO needs, that alignment needs to happen. So I want to be optimistic that it can work in tandem. Yeah.
Yeah, as I mentioned, my product, which I presented here, cannot be purchased direct commercial sale. There's component which need to be purchased government to government. So we very quickly recognized that that process is very painful and long. Okay, we had to find solution for resolving that. And our solution for that is NSPA, NATO Sustainment and Procurement Agency, and that provides us a vehicle for the procurement. Last year only, Denmark and Germany went through the process, and we have a contract with them. Now 3 other countries are in pipe for that, and process takes only 6 months from the moment of when they submit the RFP to the moment of the contract. So that is one of the improvement which we made on our side to make sure that we speed up. That includes training, sustainment, and other stuff. So what it is that we have a standard configuration to which every member of the NATO works to, and we have standard T's and C's to which each of the member have to agree. And of course, each country have a specific component which is going separately from that, but that's the easy part to handle. And with that, we've been highly successful, and hopefully that's going to work. Of course, this is only for the NATO members. Thank you.
Just as a comment that was briefed before and discussed, so acquisition is done by country, not by NATO. Only if the country requests is to do common acquisition, they go to NSPA and they request specifically to do joint procurement. In other cases, all the money, the loans come to national, and it's a national decision government what they want to buy according to the national strategy, which is based also on the NATO commitment. So yes, as it has been said before, you can go to NSPA and common procurement, but let's do face that also governments need money, and the European Commission has money. It has the funds in order to finance the industrial-based development. NATO has a strategy, the capability needs and the standards, and the military end users. Let's not face NATO, it's an alliance of 32 countries. European Commission is based on EU countries, and it looks at the further, wider perspective, but not on defense. So I think it should be something related in a cooperation between the European Union and NATO, and not divide between them. It should be complementary, as it has been said. NATO to work together with the future capability needs with the European Union in order to put projects which do serve the industrial base from Europe, but also transfer of technology from US. And I think this is the success we need to look further, that the European Union has started to put money in programs like Mobility Mob, European Development Industrial Program, SAFE, which is a loan. We see the first phase of NATO, SAFE, loan, and direct acquisitions. And also on the development side, as has been said before, with EUD scheme, the scheme for innovation, and other schemes which were put out by European Commission in order to help the countries and the companies
either there are traditional primers or non-traditional companies to develop defense technology, because defense technology serves the end users, and the end user needs the most modern, let's say, military technique in order to be able to deter and to protect themselves and be able to face the reality on the battlefront. So I think this is the most important, as it has been said before, to correlate NATO with EU so that they are complementary, not one against each other. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just a short remark. On the other hand, in the end, after all these programs will finish, whether we're talking about SAFE or other mechanism, European programs, in the end, the final beneficiary is also NATO, because basically all the members of EU are NATO member states. So that's why I was talking about complementarity. Do we need less rules? Yes, I do believe we over-regulate a lot of things. Russia, for example, is rearming very fast because they don't need all these European or NATO rules, or, as you mentioned, if I can or cannot sell to one ally a different technology or not. So I do believe we also need to look into that to reform, for example, NATO and EU in the ways of when we speak about rules and regulations that regulate these kind of economical technologies, you know. But in the end, the final beneficiary, as I said, it is NATO, even for the European programs.
Thank you. As time flies very fast, it's time for me to go to the audience to see if there is any questions you want to address to the speakers. Yes, sir, please. We have a microphone.
I can do without, no worries.
Okay.
Sebastian Erb, the German Defense Attaché here in Bucharest. Technically, I'm a diplomat, but let me be now a little bit undiplomatic, maybe a little bit provocative. Please the microphone translation.
We have online transmission.
Yeah, okay. Do you hear me now better?
We don't have sound.
So, again, a little bit undiplomatic, a little bit provocative. Being here in Romania and hearing to you and hearing to the panels all day, I have the feeling, after 3 years being here, that all this is all good. I concur with everything you said, but the reality is, especially here in the southeastern area, we are here buyers, consumers, we are not producers, not to a larger extent. Within SAFE, you intend to buy a lot. Obviously, also with that comes an investment here, but I would like to see more investment related to Article 3, for instance, from the own government into your own industry, to being a strong partner for producers, for other allies, to have a much better supply chain, whatever. Now imagine me wearing a Romanian uniform. I would be proud to shoot a Romanian weapon, to fly a Romanian drone, to shoot with a Romanian tank. I know state deficit and all that, but where is your, let's say, R&D, the big projects for your own companies? Where are your own companies supplying your own armed forces, your own Ministry of Interior? So I would love to fast forward, let's say 2035, and you are there. I hope what you're doing now is pushing your industry, and it's not only supporting other countries, and I think that is also the political debate we see right now. I wish you good luck with that, honestly. And it's not always the best solution to buy fast from somebody else, but maybe to invest in your own structures, startups, smart hubs, create those, and you have the capacity here, you have the smart brains here.
Thank you. Can we have a quick round?
Yeah, I will answer that. Yeah, I do believe you're right. But if I need to be, if you want me to be honest, and I will be honest, our national defense industry was not developed, unfortunately. Why? those are different discussions. But now with all these programs, SAFE program or other different programs, there is a possibility to reburn the industry, the defense industry. And we do have that. For example, we do have a company in Cluj. That's the first one in my mind because I was there at the presentation when they presented the first Romanian rocket, missile, sorry. And there are drone companies also in Romania. For example, when we signed a strategic partnership with Ukraine, when President Zelensky was in Bucharest, after that, 2 or 3 weeks after that, we had meetings with Ukrainian companies, with Romanian companies in order to produce drones in Romania. So, but you're right. I think every country needs to develop its own defense industry. On the other hand, we are now living with a war at the border. We need to have fast capabilities to receive them very fast, because the war or the aggressor, it doesn't wait for you to develop your own defense industry in your country. But I do believe that before the war started in Ukraine, the whole European defense industry was not that very well developed, with few exceptions. And now we see that this industry gets more and more active, and it grows from day to day. And I do hope that after a few years we will have a stronger defense industry. But also we have to, as I said, we have to answer how do we get the capabilities faster. Because once again, we do have a war at our border. It's not the same for us as it's for Germany or for France. We are having, as I said, the longest border with Ukraine. Russians are very close, so that's the difference.
Although the time is over, I would give the chance to Mr. DUţă to add something to that, and then we will close the...
Sir, thank you for your provocative questions. We live in the same reality and we feel the same frustration here in Romania, because we can see that the private sector are advancing very fast, but the state entities from defense industry are kept captive to the strategic importance. I don't want to be rude or to discuss a little, too much about this issue, but what I want to say is that we at KPMG elaborated a study, and we proposed to the defense committees to discuss about the legal framework reviews in order to review the law for the defense industry, the military acquisition law, and the offset law. And we have the willingness to provide any support that the political staff needs in order to go further and faster to solve those problems, because we need clear vision, strategic vision, and coherence in order to develop the defense industry at a national level. We need to see a defense industry ecosystem. We shouldn't separate state entities from private entities. We should go further and do something important in this field. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much as well. I think time is over. I thank all the participants in the audience as well, and please join me in a round of applause for our guest today. Thank you.